was not playing around and they won the match 4-0. Now I'm over here still thinking like, all right, Barca, you gotta beat Bayern, it's down to the wire. You gotta pull something out. Then I go on Twitter and they're like, Barca's in Europa League. I was like, oh damn, it's already over. I couldn't believe it. Now, fast forward, Barca did lose 3-0 to Bayern, as they would have lost no matter what. But here we go. Barcelona is in Europa League for the second year running.
Online I read that Barcelona spent $153 million in euros this offseason, acquired I think up to 8 players, I believe, too. Ton
Ooh,
of talent, including Lewandowski, a ton of players that have actually never played in Europa League before. um
Jeez.
yeah. Also, we also like to think about, I mean, this is a podcast is very much pro labor. A lot of players took big salary cuts. Did a lot, what's it called? Like foregoing their payments or whatever, or for something whenever where they're gonna get paid.
no, it's called
In the future.
slavery. Slavery.
Yeah, slavery, or they're gonna get paid later on, but what happens when they get transferred? Very confused by that. Yeah, Barcelona effectively failed last year by going into Europa League and failed miserably even more this year. And their 2-year tenure right now with Xavi. Quite the polar opposite run for a player coach in comparison to the Real Madrid run with Zidane. But yeah, Xavi's having a hard time, and I think that like the worst thing about it, it feels like online there's no accountability. It feels like when you watch the CBS report after or the Champions League coverage, it was like a lot of like, oh, the sentiment was that the people kind of knew, and it was kind of be a little, we knew and wasn't really expected for them to win it or make it in. I'm like, what? Like, I mean, literally, if Pilsen does something wild or just he ties, they have a chance to get in based on the Bayern result.
Yeah.
And we all know how the Bayern result ended up too. So it's like, this is categorically a massive fail, and there needs to be accountability because like you can't make all these moves, these video game moves, and still flame out like that. That's crazy to me.
What do you think, Holly?
No, yeah, I agree. I don't know how it's not really being talked about more. Like you said, the result was already at the beginning of the day. We kind of knew what was that they had been relegated, but like they didn't even play with like real pride or like any sort of ambition. Like I know your fate was in Inter's hands, but like they didn't really try at all, to be honest. It wasn't really that they were dominated by Munich. I would say it was more that they just got past them very easily because there was no real effort there. And that's kind of how I feel like that kind of defines Barcelona to me at the moment, that there's just no real effort or that much motivation. And it's just surprising to me that it's not being talked about it the way that it should.
The fact that their Champions League record so far is 1-1-3, like you lost 3 times. Like everybody can forgive 2 losses to Bayern, but a
Sure.
loss and a draw to Inter is just like, no, dude, like that's rough, yo. Like your one victory so far is against Victoria Pilsen. That's embarrassing, yo. That is literally embarrassing. Um, the crazy thing about Barcelona being out, Atleti being out, and Sevilla being out, Real Madrid is the only Spanish team left.
Oh yeah, you're right.
All the other Spanish teams are in Europa League, like all of them. Barca's Europa,
Yeah.
Atleti's Europa, and Sevilla's Europa.
Whatever. I don't like him. I don't like any of them, anyways.
Well, I mean, but it's just crazy for like
It is no.
the
It is
status
wild.
of Spanish football. Like,
Also, Barcelona undefeated in La Liga, right? I don't think they took an L.
no, they lost to Real Madrid.
No, yeah, Real Madrid. They have 1 L, and that's only Real Madrid the whole year. And like
Mhm.
you were even talking about, they went on like a 5-game win streak where they didn't give up a goal or something.
When before the loss to Real Madrid, they had only given up 1 goal in the whole season in the league.
That's absolutely crazy.
Yeah. and now they're out. And yeah, like you said, they spent all this money. They brought in all these players: Rafinha, Frank Kessié, Lewandowski, Marcus Alonso, uh, Christensen, and probably some other people too. Who knows? They forced Frankie De Jong to stay there. They made Dembele sign some fake contract to stay there. You did all this stuff and you couldn't even get it to the round of 16, dude. That's embarrassing. You're going to Europa League again, foe. How lame are you? And I don't, yeah, I don't know. I don't really listen to a lot of the, like, I'll listen to ESPN FC later. I can tolerate ESPN FC more than the CBS people. Because I'm not trying to see that fool's teeth when he laughs for no reason. But I'll see what they have to say, but I don't know. Like, is it Shabby? Is it the players? Like, I have no idea. I don't know. When you bring in a lot of new players, it's hard. Like, that's not easy when you bring in a bunch of new guys. Like,
but keep it real. Just keep it real. You can't say it's the players. You can't really say it's the players. You bring in a bunch of players to play and that are supposed to be talented. If you're given chess pieces to win a game, you can't blame the game of chess. You need to blame the person that's actually the player. Like, yeah, I mean, like the guy who runs the pieces. Like, it's the coach. You have all the people in front of you. If it's your, and then I'm sure, and he wanted these players too, right? He wanted to bring the Bella back.
oh yeah.
So these are your requests. These are the people you want to bring into and I'm sure his pitch was that he can achieve success with these people on his team. You bring me Lewandowski, I'll give you what you want. You did none of that. You didn't fulfill on your promise. And if you can't mesh them together, that's something on you as a coach. That's a problem you have.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at the starting lineup. Like, you got Balde, you're playing a 4-3-3 with left back Balde, then you got Marcus Alonso and Kunde at center back, and Hector Bellerin at right back, who hasn't even like played all year for real.
Yeah, right. I don't think he's played at all.
Well, I guess it didn't matter because you were already in Europa League anyway. But I mean, matter. She should have put Caesar out there.
Yeah, I'll give you 5 solid minutes, maybe. Bet you a goal won't be given up on that side though. I'm fouling first.
Yeah, I don't even know why it matters, but yeah. I mean, and also the crazy thing too is like they played Inter. Inter didn't even have Lukaku for either of those matches.
Lukaku literally made his debut today against Victoria Pilsener.
So, Holly, how are you feeling about your favorite team? Do you feel like they need to fire Xavi or what?
I thought you were about to say my favorite team is Victoria Pilsen. Yeah, honestly, I like player coaches are a touchy subject to me.
Why is that?
Well, obviously, I just take the experience with OGS.
Oh, come on. But he's old, though.
What? What does that have to do with it? Okay, no, but I don't mean like active player coach. I don't mean active player coaches. I mean like, former player who are now coaches. But like if you don't, to me, it's always like you gotta have some credibility as a coach before taking on such a big job. I think this job was too big for Xavi too soon. I like that. That's the same thing. Like I say the same about OGS. Like that period of time will all the ups and downs has a special place in my heart for sure. But I hate like you don't ever want the reputation of like the player to be diminished because of what they did as a coach and stuff like that. And I'm not a Barcelona stan and I don't follow La Liga like too closely, so I don't know what Barcelona fans are feeling towards Xavi, like because of all this, like not doing well in Champions League and whatnot. But to me, that's just always like how I think about it. I don't know if the credibility was there for him to take this job at this time.
I mean, yeah, he did come from coaching in Qatar, like going from there to coaching Barcelona, like I feel like that is a big deal. I mean, if he was coaching the youth ranks for a while, like what Zidane did, like I think that's good. Like you're coaching the youth ranks, you're seeing the young players. But he
Hmm.
just went straight from coaching in Qatar, like some fast track of getting his coaching license. And I'm sure he was just sitting around, just like, oh, whatever. Like, you know how it goes. And
Yeah, I
then
think
coaching Barcelona, it's like yeah, that's a lot.
I agree with you, and I've even contested. I even think certain positions don't warrant you to be a good coach in the future, just because of like how you can see the game differently depending on where you pay in the field. Like I never really been a big fan of like striker coaches and stuff like that. So, that's like, but you do have anomalies, kind of like Zidane. But I mean, he did come up also coaching the B team at Real
Yeah,
Madrid. Like he had multiple years working on his license with the youth level, and I think when you gain appreciation for youth level, we saw his dedication when he got older to really give a lot of the young guys a chance when I didn't really want him to. He was really believing on that, and that's because he worked with the youth system. And Xavi coming from Qatar to Barca, that's a tall order. Especially that's not just like walking into a team. That's a team with extreme turmoil, big turnover. Like this is literally arguably the
broke.
biggest club on the planet. So it seemed to be told, and he has not been able to handle it at all. He's failed literally this. He failed this year. Like let's keep it a stack. You failed.
And last year, like it wasn't his fault that they were in Europa League,
No.
but then you lose to Eintracht Frankfurt. It's like that's kind of lame, dog.
Yeah, I can't. I still can't name one player.
Yeah, Komodo or something.
Oh yeah, Komodo is balling.
And
Yeah.
so that was a L. This is a L this time, and another L for Xavi is that his homie Iniesta was in that picture where they had the blackface on. So that's another, that's the third L. Your homie Iniesta was in that picture, and it was two people having blackface in that joint, saying like, "Oh, it's for Christmas."
That's
Oh,
a big
Xavi.
L. That's a big L for the record books to do blackface
Absolutely.
for sure.
So the standings as they are,